Hey guys, happy Thursday. So I'm leaving work again late, but that's okay. I was working on a few things actually after I clocked out. So, and I say clocked out, but I don't actually have to clock out. After my shift was over, I worked on a video project. I found some of the footage that I never did anything with from my first trip overseas, and I was pretty stoked about it. I hadn't done anything with it because, I don't know, I felt weird and I didn't know how to put it together, but I'm learning. I'm learning now, and I'm getting better. Not that any of my videos are super high quality or super great, but it's a learning curve. Most of my videos are me rambling, but somehow you guys watch and you care, which is great. I really appreciate it. Mostly I talk about things that are weighing on my heart, a lot of struggles with mental health and just reaching goals in my own life, and I hope that my transparency in these things makes other people realize that it is hard. It's very hard to get out of your own head, to accomplish things, to not feel afraid, but it's darn near impossible without good mental health. So, you know, you have to be very self-aware, and you have to be very just brutally honest with yourself. Like, I have been allowing myself to live in kind of a suspended animation, I would guess. Like, I've not accomplished anything. I'm not trying too hard in that because of the fear and stuff I was talking about in my last video. So, and that's something I'm not comfortable with. If I'm not growing, I do feel like I'm wasting my life. And honestly, you should be growing. Progress is all that matters. You don't have to beat anybody else. You don't have to be, you know, more successful or more glamorous or faster or cooler or whatever. But you should try and be a better version of you than you were yesterday. So, and I've been stagnant, and so for this reason, I am trying to follow through. Therapy just helps. Therapy helps you work through your own brain, and it helps you rewrite your own habits. So yeah, it's a good thing. Anyway. So I brought my computer home today because I do have the option. I have a pretty cool job. I have the option to work from home. If if you're a parent at my work and you have a sick kid and you need to be home with the kid, you could potentially work from home. You're not allowed to work from home if you're sick. Like, you have to take your sick day. But like, if there's a reason why you would need to be home. And here in Indiana, I think I'll potentially need to be home tomorrow because it's supposed to get down to 3 degrees or 9 degrees. I forgot what I saw, but either way, it's below freezing, and I think there's going to be rain tonight before it freezes. So lucky me, we get just ice. So, like, most of our winter in Indiana is not the fun, beautiful winter wonderland snow that you dreamt of as a kid. It's the weird several inches of ice on everything. And the last ice that we had pulled down several branches from my neighbor's tree, and they like fell across some power lines, and yeah. So I was dealing with that the last ice storm, and I'd rather not have that happen again. I'm very fortunate. I love my home. I bought a home that has 2 very mature trees around it. That's part of the reason why I loved the home. I hate going into those neighborhoods where they've literally chopped down every single tree. Like, they couldn't save a couple and build around them, but whatever. whatever. My home has huge maple trees, 2 of them. And I am insured in case a tree falls on my house, because I'm not chopping down the trees, because I love them. So I'd rather keep the trees and have insurance to cover if something goes wrong. Speaking of chopping down trees, have you guys seen those maps of the world? Like there'll be a picture from outer space, and it was like taken in like the 70s or whatever, or from a satellite image in the 70s, and then there's a picture of the globe like looking down on the earth like today or recently or whatever, and how it used to be blue and green and now it's blue and brown. That's really sad. It really bums me out. That's why I'm like, I don't chop down a tree for nothing, and I do what I can to save the one in my yard. Like if a branch breaks off, you know, try to save it. Make sure to take good care of it. I'm worried, like I'm bummed for our parents in the course of 30, you know, those like years before we were born, just destroyed the earth. And then the way we're going still nowadays, there's not going to be anything left for the next generation. Yeah. It's a bummer. So, yeah, I'm pretty, for those reasons, I'm glad I'm not a parent. Because I understand that you love your kids, like, more than any kind of love you've ever experienced, and it's gotta be scary for parents knowing that their kids will potentially run out of resources if things don't change. Yeah. Anyway, see, I overthink everything. No wonder I need therapy. These are things that nobody should worry about, like, or maybe we should worry about. I don't know, but which is why I recycle, and so I worry about what I can do, but like overthinking all the things just can steal your joy. There is a correlation between intelligence and depression, so I joked and said I must be a freaking genius because I've struggled with depression my whole life. I'm obviously not a genius, but I'm very rarely not in deep thought about something that's plaguing me or the world or my friends, or yeah. And then being an, like, I guess what you would consider an empath, a person who's like can feel greatly for things. I cry a lot. I do. Last night I was watching a TV show, and it was a really good TV show, and it was like one of the premises was like it was a young girl, and she had you know, she's just young and careless and you know, being promiscuous because her parents, basically she was a teenager living alone, and you know, her parents are missing, they're druggies or they walked out on her, both, and so she's like doing the best she can to survive, but she's in her promiscuity, she found out she was knocked up, and it was like how scary and fearful, and I found myself like being so upset for her and like angry, and it's just a fictional TV show that doesn't exist. It's only a character show. But I felt so brokenhearted for her because I was that girl. I was the girl who was angry and hurt because my parents, you know, didn't want me, and I was stupid and reckless and did silly things. By God's grace, I never did get prego, but gosh, I couldn't imagine being a teenager and not having anybody in the world and being so reckless because you're like for human connection, and then getting yourself into a pickle like that, and just like, and the thing that broke my heart is she like, when she found out, she called herself an idiot, and she felt terrible, and I was just thinking, oh, I was like so brokenhearted for this character who doesn't even exist. Which is why I find myself, if I'm like consuming a lot of books or TV or even listening to something on YouTube that gets overly like heavy or emotional, I'll have to step away from it for a while, and I'll have to almost move to something that's like mind-numbing. Like, I love watching comedy, which is not mind-numbing. To anybody who's a comedian, I just mean it's a lot lighter and not. Some comedians are very political, and there's like really cause you to think. It really causes me distress. But like comedians who do a lot of like observational humor, you know, joking about food and, you know, relationships, and those always put me in a better mood when there's like been something that's really brought me down. So I don't know if that's healthy or like what, but I do think the things that you read and observe and the people you surround yourself with can greatly affect your mental health. So if, like, for instance, there was a show that everybody was talking about for a long time that was on Netflix. It was about the girl who, I forget the name of it right now, but the whole show is about the girl had already committed suicide. Why can't I remember the name of the show? And there's all these tapes, and she's like post-mortem, like recalling what had caused her to take her life. What the heck is the name of that show? If you can remember, comment below. Gosh. Anyway, I refuse to watch that show because there is a theory that glamorizing suicide and even publicizing it, like at each time there was a suicide, like with Robin Williams and with was it Anthony Bourdain, maybe, like suicides had jumped up, that more suicides happened after it. So politicizing it almost like glamorizes it. So I can't remember what the theory is, but basically there's a theory that suicide like leads to suicide, and like publicizing it increases the amount of suicide. And in this day and age, every suicide is highly publicized. It's on the news, it's on every social media, and so it's like dominoes. More will occur because it's publicized. And I think suicide is now only is the highest leading cause of death, second only to heart disease. And the only reason I think heart disease is beating us out is because, well, especially in the U.S., we're the fattest country in the world, you know, so we're only being beaten out by our own gluttony, which obviously overeating is another symptom of like trying to cope with mental health. You know, people eat to feel better because it releases serotonin immediately into your brain, and serotonin and dopamine, I believe, and you immediately feel better after eating. But yeah, there are better ways to do that. For instance, when I used to be able to run, I would always feel amazing. There is a thing called a runner's high, and it really does. It like boosts your attitude the same as, I honestly, it would boost my attitude significantly more and for a lot longer than having a snack. So there are healthier choices. But anyway, I was talking about that show that I refuse to watch because I know my own empathy and my own mental health. Like, it would bring me down to watch that show. Gosh, what is the name of it? About suicide. And honestly, and there is a theory, and I forget what the theory is called, about like politicizing suicide. It does lead to more suicides. So good conscience, like, watch the show and support that kind of content when I know the kind of effects it has. And that's why, like, even though, yes, I'm totally curious about, you know, what caused these celebrities to end their lives, I don't click on the links. I don't click on the news articles because I don't want to give the news organization the positive reinforcement to print more articles like that. And not that my one boycott of me as one person boycotting those articles is not going to make a difference. The news articles are still going to print it because people are still going to read it. But for my own conscience, I feel like I haven't contributed to more articles like to the demand for more articles like that, and potentially I have prevented, I don't know, and by not sharing it or like adding to the discussion or the hype about it, I have potentially shared one last thing that less people will see, and I have maybe made a difference. And maybe it makes no difference at all, but at the end of the day, I gotta protect my own mental health as well, so yeah. That's why, like, my social media is freaking full of things to make people laugh, things to make people smile, and even just my blathering on about my seemingly, you know, uninteresting, unimportant life, because there's so much of social media that's like just, it's extremely high pressure. It's high pressure. You've got to be beautiful and successful, and like it's just, you know what, I'm a mess. I'm struggle with mental health, and I struggle to find joy in everyday things, and I do look at my teeny tiny life and I think you know, most people would say it's nothing to write home about, but at the end of the day, it's mine, and I'm excited about it because, dude, it's a miracle compared to what it could have been. You know, I've talked about my childhood and being, you know, I was taken away from my biological parents at 9, sent to live with aunt and uncle until I was 12. Finally, Children's Services intervened and got us out of there, and I lived in an orphanage until I was 15 and was adopted when I was 15. My adopted parents went through a divorce when I was 19. I lived recklessly and wild and super angry in most of my 20s, and then by God's grace, I didn't turn out to be like my biological family. I'm not addicted to anything. I don't have any legal record. I have a really good job. I have my own home. So it doesn't seem like anything special in the grand scheme of celebrities and, you know, YouTube influencers and glam people and just Insta models. And that's what the bummer is. Excuse me, you know I take a hot. That's what the bummer is. I want more people to say how awesome it is just to be normal. You know why it's awesome to be normal? Because it sure beats the hell out of being just another tragedy. Normal beats the hell out of being another statistic. But anyway, I'm almost home, and I rattled on way longer than I thought I would about mental health and Indiana weather, but I just want to give you guys some food for thought. If you're like me, your brain runs a million miles an hour, 38 billion subjects, and you literally feel empathetic about everything that you watch, hear, and take in, then maybe I've given you some things to think about. Also about the suicide thing, if anybody can remember what that theory is about politicizing suicide and how it potentially leads to more suicides, please comment that down below. I cannot remember what that theory is called. It was named after a guy. It was a man's name. I would like to remember recall what that is, please let me know. Also, if you struggle with some of the same things as me, you really have to guard your heart and your mind just so that you're healthy. I'd love to hear about it. Please let me know. I have made it home, and as always, I wanted to let you know that you are beautiful. You are loved. You matter. You have a purpose in this life. And whatever challenges or struggles you have right now in this moment, they will not last forever. Everything has a season, and so even struggle season ends before you know it. As always, hope to see you again. Until then, have a great week.